All right. Well, do you want to introduce yourself and maybe we can start from there and we can see where the conversation goes?
Okay, sure. Um, okay. I never really know what to say about myself. Like I'm just kind of an average person who has had really extraordinary experiences, not just with extraterrestrials, but a lot of like shamanic experiences. Maybe they're tied together. Um, I've always been really psychic since I was a little girl. Pretty much, I think, since I was born. I had a couple near-death experiences when I was really young, so that may have opened the door. It could be a combination of many things. Like my mom was also very psychic, and her and I had some abduction experiences, some contact experiences together when I was a child, and I never really understood like what was happening, what it all meant until 2020 when I came forward to discuss an encounter that I had in 2010. And I met other people who helped me figure out that there was maybe a connection between all the strange things that had happened in my life. So, like other abductees and researchers try to help me figure out what was going on in my life, like why my life was so strange. Because I had a lot of very, very strange things happen. I still do, but I understand them better now. So I just slowly put it all together and realized that, I'm a star seed for sure. And I felt like my mission was to share the messages because I have gotten so many messages, so many dreams, visions, and contact events. And once I opened up the door and realized who I was talking to and what was happening, everything just flooded in, and I knew I was on the right path.
So I did watch your interview with Jeff Mara, so I know a little bit your story, but so in 2010 we can get into that encounter, but like prior to that you said that you were psychic and everything, but for example, like during your like high school and like in your early 20s, was that still like there or you kind of like went along with life and then it kind of came back? Or was it always with you the whole time? It was just a a new experience in 2010 that happened that led you like in that direction.
Good question. That's a really good question. Like I had always been experiencing these things. I had had visions in 2002 about the end of the world. I'd seen a war. I'd seen Chinese soldiers coming and invading North America. I had seen weird technology that, I didn't know anything about it. Um, but I just was trying to live my life, just be a normal person. I just wanted to be normal. Like that was like a driving force in my life was that I just wanted to be normal because I felt different. So I didn't really I didn't really go into it. It just the things would happen and then I would just keep going. Um, and I guess in a way I wanted to just be like everybody else. So I pushed these experiences aside and just pretended like that didn't happen until 2010 when that experience happened that I actually met them face to face. I had a long encounter with them. Then I realized that there was like maybe it was them who were my guardian angels who saved me all the times before. Um, Maybe it wasn't a guardian angel, like maybe there was something else, but I still kept, I was living life. I had a child. I needed to raise him. I raised him pretty much on my own for most of his life. I just, I didn't really have anything to do with it. And I couldn't really tell people because nobody at that time was really that open to it. Like you could tell some people and they were interested, but the world wasn't ready to hear all the messages and it wasn't ready to accept that there's extraterrestrials here
Mhm.
already in contact with people.
So apart from like feeling different, did you like experience like since your channel was open, like did you experience like more negative things too? And that did that scare you, or was it just that you just wanted to be normal?
Yeah, like throughout my life, it felt like I was in the middle of a push and pull. So I would see both sides. I would see the darkness and I would see the light. I met a being that called himself Satan. I met him so many times. I met him the night my mom passed away. I met him when I was pregnant with my son. And you know, he would tell me things too. Like he would explain to me how he could possess people and how he ran the world.
Mhm.
um, it was just like it was a combination of both sides. Like I was just a wide open channel, and I wasn't aware at the time of how to protect myself. But also, I think I was meant to hear those messages. I think I was supposed to see both sides. I think that I was just given the gift, and I was protected enough that I could do that.
Did you feel like he was communicating with you without your consent, or like, or were you scared in the beginning? Because I've heard other people like that they communicate with Lucifer and everything, and but there's still like information being said, like, so did you feel like you were open to that, or that he was kind of like pushing your boundaries a bit by showing up?
Yeah, well, I mean, I wasn't really open to it.
Mhm.
It was just happening to me, kind of thing. A lot of this was just happening to me.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't really know much about it. I didn't know what a starseed was. I didn't really believe in aliens when I met him. The first time he showed up was after my mom's passing, and I was very vulnerable. I was very sad. I was
Mhm.
just so grief stricken. And he told me he had her soul, and it was like being tortured. You know, it was just torment. It was awful. And the experiences like afterwards, when I was pregnant with my son, I met him again. And actually, I've been writing about this in my other book. So the experience of meeting him, the I guess it would have been like maybe the second time was it was a culmination of a 3 day event where I met him twice in a dream space, and then I met him in the physical world,
Um,
or something that represented him and looked like him.
mhm.
And there were people around, so they actually saw it. Whatever it was in physical form, standing in front of me in a public place. And that really scared me because I realized like these are not dreams. There is an entity. This is a real thing. Other people could see it. I wasn't alone.
Mhm.
So it wasn't. Yeah, it felt like it was happening to me as if he was trying to uh, sway me his way, or maybe he had a mission. Like maybe he was supposed to tell somebody because I don't know exactly, but I've heard that like they have to kind of tell the world what they're doing. And so maybe I was being used as a tool for him to disclose,
Yeah.
you know, his plans for the
Mhm.
world.
I feel
So
like it's important to understand that and not like ignore it, because it's part of the reality, and it's part of, I feel like we're here to also expose what's really going on, so that like even me sometimes I feel like I'll be in a good mood, and then the second after I feel anxiety, depression, like psychic attacks. And like you were talking about parasites, it's so important to be aware of this so that we can learn how to protect our energy, like even more, because we are vulnerable to that also. So it's important to talk about that.
yeah, it's so important. And the thing about the spiritual community, like I really have issues with some of the things. Like it's all light. Like that whole concept of it's only light, and if it's not of the light, I want nothing to do with it. No, like we have to understand that we're on a planet in a world where there's a problem. It's a war, really, between good and evil right now.
Mhm.
Like I was shown by the ETs that it was extraterrestrials that were evil, that were running the world.
Mhm.
But then, you know, different religions have the same thing. So like we have to, you can't just brush it off like, no, I
Mhm.
can't deal with the darkness. Like the darkness is part of each of us, and it's part
Mhm.
of our lives here while we're here. And it's very real. Like, and it's, and this whole non-duality thing, again, like that's great. And I do agree that at the highest levels, there is no good or bad. But while we're here, in order to like help others, be of service, I think that doing the shadow work and looking at the darkness and really accepting it as real and just like learning from it and letting our souls grow from those experiences, but
Mhm.
also not getting, sucked into it so much that the light leaves us. So
Exactly.
it's tricky. It's tricky, but
Mhm. So when those experiences happened, were you like, shit, I need to like protect my energy? Like, or you like, did that awaken something in you to like, okay, I really need to step up my protection?
I mean, I tried everything. I tried, I tried priests, I tried holy water, I tried sage, I tried praying, I tried everything I could think of, crystals and protective symbols, crosses.
Mhm.
I just I couldn't stop it. I was looking into both worlds. I was looking at his world and I was looking at the the other worlds, that like the new earth and the new, I was seeing like multiple timelines, and I just realized like I am an oracle. I am a messenger. That is my job. It doesn't hurt me to see it anymore because I couldn't, at first I was reacting to it, but then I
Mhm.
realized if you don't react, like it's not going to go away, but you're not being affected negatively by it. You just see it for what it is, and then I felt like, okay, well, I'll share the messages.
Mhm. Was it a bit like a sense of like, uh, they can't like attain me to that level, like you said, you are protected, and we are light, and we are like part of source, so it's like we can be like afraid and scared, go through all those emotions, but at the end of the day, like they can they well, do you think that they can reach us, like if we are kind of already in our power? Like that's, I'm also trying to like try to grasp that concept of like, well, if you are light, are they able to still get you? I know this is all dark and everything, but I mean, we're
Oh, it's
here
a
to
good
talk about it,
question.
so yeah.
No, that's the thing. Okay, so like we've chosen to to be of the light, like to work with the light. We're
Mhm.
light, we're light beings. There are people on the planet who've chosen the opposite, and it's not wrong. But
Mhm.
it's like a lot of star seeds feel that they serve the light.
Mhm.
The thing is that we can't stop them. We
Mhm.
can't stop them because we are in a war. And so it would be equivalent to us going into the battlefield
Mhm.
and saying, how do we stop them from shooting? Because we can't. We are in an active spiritual war on the
Mhm.
planet. So we just have to be able to manage our response and our reactions to it, because we can't shut it off
Mhm.
and it won't go away, and we can we can take its power away. Like I've had direct teachings from the ETs about this. They've said to me that I'm one of the people who can work with both sides. I am highly, highly protected.
Mhm.
Starseeds are highly, highly protected.
Mhm.
Um, but they said that, because I asked them, well, then why, when I have these dark visions, like, why is it so difficult? Like I can't sleep. I'm just run down. I feel like I'm losing it. And they just said it's because you're reacting to it.
Mhm.
You're reacting to it. If you can
And that's
just,
what they want.
yeah, yeah, you can witness it and learn to like not react to it.
Mhm.
And like that to me was a powerful lesson. And when I stopped reacting to these dark visions, dark experiences, um, they stopped bothering me. I still see things once in a while, but I don't have those mm, kind of attack type of um, experiences as much. I also was taught how to transmute
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think when I was taught like a high level teaching like that, how to transmute them into like to basically destroy these like shadow type of figures, um, that was really when it completely stopped for me. I still see into their timeline. I still get messages sometimes that are more of a darker nature, but that physical attacks, where you're like waking up with scratches or, you're having like actual attacks where you can't sleep. That really started to die down when I became empowered and knew, okay, well, I can destroy you. And then they really started to, they just backed off. I
Mm-hmm.
have a sort of like a facing the evil scene in my life. It's in my book too. There was sort of like an end scene where it realized, okay, we can't really get in anymore. And so, yeah, I'm sharing these things with the world in my books. I have two books. So I'm still working on them, getting close, but I am going to share all of that in there, teaching others how to be more empowered and how to learn how to transmute. Um, but it'll never completely go away
Mm-hmm.
because of the nature of what's happening in the world. But
So do you think that the spiritual war is only like in the 3D and 4D, or is it also like in the higher dimensions? Because that's also something I'm like, is
mm,
5D like, okay, there's no more like lower energies? What's your thoughts on that?
that's a good question. So I think that right now this war is primarily in the three and the four. I
Yeah.
think that well, I don't think the ATs literally told me in 2010 the negative parasites live in the fourth. And
Yeah.
I believe that that might be why other spiritual theories talk about going from three to five because they have to bypass the fourth.
They're
So
like, we don't want this.
we don't want to be in the fourth with them. No, we don't want the prison planet timeline.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
So basically above the fourth, there isn't negative entities.
I think that there is negative entities. I think that they're multidimensional and some of them can go up way higher than the fifth. But there's a certain point where they can't exist anymore.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, where it becomes more of the God realms where there is really no form.
It's a different like frequency, so if they're not at the same level as like the angels and everything, well, I don't think they live in that realm, so to speak. I don't know.
Yeah, because they like just couldn't exist in it. The vibration is so light and whereas there's like sort of these opposite effects. Like, it's like the yin yang. It really truly is so much. That symbol means so much
Hmm.
for, just understanding and accepting the
Hmm.
polarity.
That's what reassures me. I'm like, okay, like worst case, I'm going back to the higher dimension.
Yeah.
Unless I want to come back, of course, but yeah. So it's
Yeah.
kind of, oh, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, yeah, it's kind of more our choice of what we want to experience.
Mhm.
It's not all happening to us. Like our souls were like, okay, I've been living peaceful lifetimes for so long, and I just really need to remember what it's like to suffer. I want to feel it. I want to learn from it.
Mhm.
There's many reasons that souls could come here, but
Mhm.
the harder your life is, the more your soul probably came from some of the highest realms because
Mhm.
they're master souls that really want to grow from uh,
Mhm.
witnessing the opposite force.
Mhm. Yeah. So was 2010 was your first ET contact, but I think you said you did have contact younger. It's just that it was kind of like blurry. Oh yeah, with the wolf.
The wolf, yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you
Yeah.
want to get into that and share your experience.
Yeah, so I have two memories from when I was a child. Now, the memories came back in pieces. They're not full.
Mhm.
So the first one was the wolf. So I was given like a screen memory, and then the memory that was underneath it. Um, I guess I'll start with the screen memory. So it was a wolf. There was a man at my door, and he knocked on it in the middle of the night. I came, I opened the door. He said, "Are you Crystal?" And I looked at him. He looked like an old miner from the 1800s. He was missing teeth. And I said, "Yes, why?" And then he said, "The wolf wants to talk to you." And then behind him was a big timber wolf, and it was just staring at me, and nothing happened. But I woke up in the morning, my door was unlocked, and I was just really shaken up. Like that was a weird dream. And I felt weird. Had nosebleed. As usual, those things were happening all the time. I was fainting, nosebleeds, weird marks, just things that nobody believed me. My parents weren't really they were not the greatest parents, and they really didn't understand this stuff. So I just kind of kept it to myself and went on. Years later, I uncovered parts of that. I uncovered that the wolf wasn't really a wolf, and that it was a gray. I had a lot of abductions with the grays.
Mhm.
So they this one in particular, um, they came through this blue mist, and then snap, I was on a ship.
Mhm.
Um, I saw babies. They were in like incubator kind of things, and then the being said something about one day you'll have a baby, one day you'll have one too. And then she turned and we could see Earth through this like window in the hallway, a big, long, almost like an observation deck.
Mhm.
Um, and she said, "One day, all you know will come to pass." And then she started to give me a prophecy about the end of the world.
Mhm.
And then there's just flashes and pieces. Like I have pieces, from different abductions. Some of them kind of blur together, but there's like an overlying theme. There's babies, there's medical stuff, there's weird testing, there's weird marks. My mom's with me in some, and with in others, it's just me. Later on in life, after she's passed, it's just me. And I just, yeah, it was like this um, kind, benevolent presence. They
Mhm.
were very, very kind, gentle. The babies didn't cry. They were well taken care of, and there was something they were doing something, and I was a part of
Mhm.
it.
Were the babies like hybrids?
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. They were telepathic. They did not cry at all.
Mhm.
Like they may have been crying like telepathically. I couldn't hear them crying, but they just didn't make any sound. It was very unusual for like a whole bunch of babies.
Mhm.
And they were kind of in like this like wall unit. It was strange. Like it was like almost like a pet shop when you go to pick out a puppy, it was kind of like that. It was, but like they were so well taken care of. You could see that everything was okay. They were dressed really well. They were wearing really nice clothing. Like it was like good quality. They were just everything was, yeah, it was strange.
Do you know like those grays which dimension they're from or
They're
where?
multidimensional.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't really have a specific dimension.
Mhm.
They can kind of oscillate
Mhm.
between different dimensions. So I don't really know, but they explain to me like, oh, like we are interdimensional, but you are interdimensional too.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so your 2010 experience. I feel like it's such a amazing encounter that you had.
Yeah, it was really amazing. It was funny because that night, like right before I went to sleep, I had just by chance watched a documentary about crop circles, and I just thought, oh, that's so cool. I wonder if they're real. And then
Mm-hmm.
I was like, yeah, I want to see one. I want to see a UFO one day. And I just kind of thought that, like, just for a fleeting second. Um, and then, yeah, that morning I woke up and there was a weird noise outside of my window. It was kind of off to the right. And it was just starting, like, dawn was just starting to break. Um, it was very quiet. And I could just hear like this kind of sound. Um, Maybe a little bit more high pitched than that, but and so I got up and my bed was against the window, so I had to kind of like get up onto my bed and then look out the window and I saw a sphere. And at first it was just one sphere, but then another one joined it and they both started making this strange
Mm-hmm.
pattern on the grass about 100 feet to the right of my apartment. Um, and then it was just kind of like they slowly moved over to me until they were right in front of me and down on the grass. And I saw like a crop circle appear when they were over on the other side, then like a second one, then a third one. And I was like, okay, that's aliens. Um, and then they shot into my window, they shot through the screen and over my left shoulder, and the screen wasn't damaged. I remember looking at the screen, and then I turned around and I looked in my room and I couldn't see anything. It looked all normal to me for a second. The thing is, they were actually over here. So I'm looking at my room, I turned my head, and then to my right, so like basically opposite my bed, in front of my closet, was three pillars of white light. Yeah, so they were contained in a cylinder shape, and they went from the ceiling to the floor. And they began to speak to me telepathically. And there was a very long, very detailed experience. They explained why they abduct people. They explained that we are interdimensional. They explained what's happening in the world, the true history of the world, what really happened here, why things are so difficult. They said that we were infested by a negative parasitic, sort of an AI type of race, shape shifting type of thing. They showed me let's see, so they showed me shaman traveling. They explained that we were also travelers in our light bodies. They showed me that there was going to be an event in 2012 that was going to wipe out the world and that they were going to save a whole bunch of people, but not everybody. um, and then they showed me the future, and they showed me 1,000 years of peace. They showed me us learning about extraterrestrial life, and they called it the intergalactic community, and they said we would be part of the intergalactic community.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yay!
yay. Yeah. And the funny thing is, like, years and years before that, or well, I wouldn't say years and years before that, but I'm just trying to remember, like, around the time. It was actually, it might have been after that. Yeah, I'm not really sure. I Sometimes I have a hard time with recall because of my head injury. So I think it was, yeah, I think it might have been a little bit after, but I had another dream where I was on a ship and I was with these human looking beings. They looked like same height. They all had white hair, or like, yeah, pretty much like white or very, very blonde, but they weren't super tall. And it was all women in this boardroom that I was asked to step into. And they called themselves the Council of 13. And they told me that I was the 13th granddaughter of the 13th member. And they were wearing like almost like Star Trek suits. They were like a baby blue. And there's a little emblem, like a little black emblem here and black trim. And yeah, they went through my life on a screen. And I very much realized um, through these contact events that there is truly a federation, that there's a group of different species. They all work together, and that they have a very vested interest in our success as a species. Like they really want to make sure that we survive. They want us to be part of their uh, community.
Mm-hmm.
So.
So, we hear like the Galactic Federation, there's all sorts of like councils and everything, but this council specifically, they were all the same race, or were
Uh,
they were mixed with other.
No, they were all the same. They were all older women with like really white hair, like almost like white blonde or just white. I can't really remember. I think it was just white, like
Mhm,
because they all had like really blue eyes and they all looked really similar. They looked
mhm,
very, very similar. But they were definitely older women. Like they were kind of a group of wise women. They called themselves the Council of 13.
mhm. Wow. Did you meet the 13th member that is so they said you're the grandchild of the 13th member.
Yeah.
So did you meet the
The 13th. Yes. Yeah. No, and that's the thing. I had met her before in my dreams. Like before one of my best friends died. She came to me in a dream. This was way before any of this contact. This was like 2000, 2001 even or something, like it
Mhm,
was way before I had ever experienced, or at least, I didn't know about ETs but
mhm,
she came to me and introduced herself as my grandmother
mm,
and she said, a storm's coming.
mm,
One of my dear friends passed away, and there was a storm. There was a storm in my life, and we were like in another realm, and she was hanging laundry, and there was a breeze coming in, and she came up to me, put her hand on my shoulder. She said, "I'm your grandmother. I love you."
mm,
And then she said, "Now hang on, honey. There's a storm coming."
mm,
And she couldn't have been more right. It was just so incredible. So when I was in the boardroom, just about to step into the boardroom, actually, I was in the hallway. She was there, and I was like,
flashback.
I've seen her. I've met her. She said she was my grandmother. And then I was in a board meeting with her. Oh, I have goosebumps. And then I'm in a board meeting with her, and I am her granddaughter. I'm her 13th granddaughter and have a very important mission on Earth. So
Wow.
that was incredible.
Have you ever seen yourself as another, like as a star being?
Yeah, yeah,
So
I
you
have.
have the white hair and the blue eyes?
Yeah, so actually, it was really recently, right when I started making an announcement that I was going to publish my book, that I had another vision or experience where I was in another realm, and I was I was the 13th council member. I was me, my face, all
Mhm.
white hair, and I was wearing the suit that they were all wearing. So I had embodied the role of council member, and I looked like my grandmother, but I was me.
Mhm.
So I thought that was a powerful message, like, okay, you are doing the mission that you are supposed to be doing. So
So when you say in another realm, like, is it like parallel to like what's happening right now, or was it like more of like a future version of yourself? Because like some people say that time it's like everything is happening all at once, like it's all like different timeline.
mm-hmm.
So basically it would mean that it's like happening right now, but in that on that other timeline, basically.
Um, like I think that well, first of all, it happened when I was sleeping. So like that's when I get a lot of my visions, my contact is like in a dream space, or
Mhm.
it's actually not really a dream space. It's more of like I wake up and I'm in a blank canvas. It's just dark, it's just darkness. There's nothing there. It's not a bad darkness, it's just an
Mhm.
emptiness. And then that's when things come forward.
Mhm.
That's where I meet things or see things or have experiences.
Mhm.
Sometimes I'll wake up and I'll be in another place, but a lot of the time I'll wake up in this empty space, and then things will come to me as
Mhm.
if it's like a vision or an image.
Mhm.
So in that one, I was, um, yeah, it was me walking up to me.
Mhm.
But and as she got closer, I was like,
Whoa.
this is prophecy. This is the it's happened. It's happened. So
Have you ever had like a vision of of like their world, like where they live and everything? Because the other like dream that you had, it was like on board the ship, but have you ever seen like their where they live?
yes, yeah, they took me there once. Yeah, yeah.
It looked like
It
of
was
you remember.
amazing. It was amazing. They engineer worlds. So this was a contact event. So I was like bilocating. I was in my RV and I was sleeping and I started to wake up and I separated from my body, but I was like I was being guided. Something was pulling me
Mm-hmm.
through time and space, and like the RV sort of broke away from me. For a few seconds, me and the RV were like in a light form, and then it broke away from me, and I shot into a tunnel. So I am in two places. I'm fully conscious. My body's in the RV sleeping,
Mm-hmm.
and my light body is now traveling through a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm fully aware in both places. So I shoot through this tunnel and I hear an elder gray who's with me now. She says, it'll take 13 seconds. And I was seeing bright white light fractals. The tunnel was sort of spinning. I felt like I was being stretched like an elastic band through time and space. It was kind of intense, the feeling of traveling that fast. And I felt like I was not solid at all, that I was in like a different state.
Mm-hmm.
And then boom, it spits me out and I'm at this world and there's nothing really around me. I just kind of go down. I know I'm supposed to be going somewhere. I'm being pulled to this spot and I land. And as I'm coming down, I'm seeing like this is an alien world. There was a pink sky and there were three moons and there were animals everywhere. There was like water, rivers there, but the water, the first thing that the elder that met me there on the surface said was, "Do you like our planet? It's beautiful. We made it ourselves."
Mm-hmm.
And then she said, "The water flows strangely here compared to Earth." And I thought that's true because it looked like the river had been flowing two different directions. And there were all these earth creatures, there was water buffalo and cranes. And then there were other creatures and other plants I didn't recognize that were kind of weird looking. There's just what's the word? Mishmash, a
Yeah.
mishmash of like all these different plants, animals, species, everything from other worlds too. But there were things that were familiar. They really wanted me to see the things that they had brought from Earth.
Mm-hmm. They were like proud.
Yeah, they were proud. They were really proud. They wanted me to understand like their role because I work so closely with them. They wanted me to share this. Like they are not abducting people to hurt them. They're the master engineers of
Mm-hmm.
creation of the universe. That is their way of worshiping God is to create.
Mm-hmm.
They build worlds. They engineer worlds. They engineered this world. They engineered us. I mean, they're so advanced, but yet they're the closest in evolution to us.
Have you ever had any encounters with like the more negative grays or no?
No, I believe that I'm really protected. Although I have had some experiences where a gray has been like say standing in front of me in that other space or in my dream
Mhm.
space and has given me a message that really threw me off that I took as an important message. Like, for example, they told me that this is your soulmate, this is his age, this is the date you're going to meet him, this is where he's from, this is his name. So when that happened, I was like, okay, this is years ago. I had this, and this is the person. This is the person. There's no question. But that person ended up being like, extremely dangerous and abusive, and was like not, the type of soulmate you would expect.
Yeah.
So I wondered if that was helpful or if it was damaging.
Mm.
But in the end, I realized that the, the situation was helpful. It made me really wake up in certain ways, like to, old patterns and
Cool.
just, unhidden truths that I needed to see. So
Mhm.
maybe it was good, but I was a little concerned that maybe there was some meddling in my love life or that I was getting negative messages that were meant to derail me
Mhm.
because it was very profoundly damaging in my life. But I
Yeah.
guess in the end, it's okay.
Was a part of you like, oh, but it's my soulmate?
But I mean, I really wanted it to be, and it was like it was the exact date, it was the exact
Yeah.
person.
Uh-huh.
And I just was like, well, this is the guy. But the problem for me was that I really had to sacrifice too much, and I ended up just, kind of caretaking this person. He was just
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
not really in a space for a relationship. It was just like light workers. We try to do this. We try to save people who are
Mhm.
so bent on
Been
destroying.
there, done that.
Yeah, it's the common thing, we're just like, if I just love them enough, if I'm just like, if I just don't give up on them like everybody else has, and in the end, it
Mm.
becomes our lesson. So
Mhm.
yeah, but yeah, it was weird because a gray stood in front of me years before that and said, "This is your person. You incarnated together. Age, height, race, name, date." So I was like, okay, I will be ready when that person shows up. And they were really, yeah, they were not. I could not have stayed with that person, but
Mhm. But maybe the gray like told you that you were gonna meet this person, but did he talk about like after, like that you were gonna stay? You know what I mean? Like maybe he was just telling you, look, you're gonna meet this person, but after that you have free will and you follow your own internal guidance to do I stay or do I leave? Like I deserve better, so I'm gonna leave.
yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, and later I really understood, how that was something in my life that did change everything. Like I may not have experienced that much growth. I may not have written these books. I may not have gone back to school and got a degree. I may, I probably wouldn't have because for I was striving for something after that experience. And so and maybe he did fulfill his role as soulmate so perfectly. Uh, but I definitely questioned for a little while that was that a helpful message? Was I talking to positive beings, or were they just trying to derail me? And I think in the end that it did work out for the best, and it was meant to be. And I think maybe that was my soulmate.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's sometimes it's hard to tell. If it's a good or bad thing, it may seem really bad until way later, way after the fact, you realize,
Mhm.
okay, yeah, we're humans trying to figure out a really complicated multiverse
Yeah, every day.
every day.
When the light beings appeared in front of you, this was like in the physical, it wasn't a dream state. Did they tell you that it was difficult for them to do that? Or because you hear people say that it's hard for some of them to like physically manifest themselves in our dense reality. Did they share
Mhm.
information on that, or is it just like super easy for them to just show up in your bedroom?
I don't think that it's super easy for them to stay in this dimension. I think that they can show up for little short periods of time, but in the end, I ended up sort of becoming more fluid in my interaction with them, and I feel like I was becoming multidimensional during the experience. Like it started off in my bedroom.
Mm.
I was awake. I was pinching myself. I was trying to, slap myself. I was definitely awake. I mean, it was not a dream. And then it sort of morphed into a more immersive experience where I was in another place with them, as
Mhm.
if we sort of took the conversation into a place where they could show me more images, where it was like being in an interactive movie with them.
Mhm.
And that's a space that I go to a lot very easily, like in my dream space. So I think it was very easy for them to just flip me over into an easier way of communicating, a higher vibration, a different energy field than this density.
Hmm. Yeah, that's so fascinating. And so since that experience, like, do you like communicate with them like every day? Is it now just like you receive like information telepathically? Like, how often do you like reach out, or does it just naturally happen where you receive downloads, or do you take the time every day to meditate? Like, what's your like routine with
Hmm.
contact?
Yeah, so I get a lot of waking messages. So I kind of get like a little news rundown every morning.
Hmm.
Um, this week I've had two visions. One was I saw like soldiers invading, or I saw them on parachutes coming down from the sky, and they looked like US soldiers. And I felt like it was here. So that was kind of a waking message. But that didn't invoke fear. Like I was just watching that. And then my second one, I wrote down, I may, yeah, let me just grab it because I did put it in my phone so I can remember it. Yeah, so the first one was the soldiers, and then the second one was, uh,
And those visions are
oh,
like
yeah,
during the day or more at night?
usually now it's kind of morphed into like a waking message. So in between awake and asleep, I just get like, here's your message, and so there was the parachutes, the soldiers in parachutes, and then I also saw there was a message like that Luigi, that whole um thing where that person assassinated the healthcare company
Mhm.
CEO, or sorry, not healthcare company, health insurance CEO.
Mhm.
Yeah, so there was a message that there will be more like that,
Mhm.
that the those systems, the healthcare, sorry, health insurance, that system was going to start collapsing. So
Mhm.
these are oracle message, these are world messages. So that was just this week. And that's usually as I'm waking up so that I'll remember it very clearly. Unless it's like a contact or event, sorry, a contact event, or unless it's a very immersive experience in which I need to be shown a lot of things. Usually, if it's just quick little messages, it's right when I'm waking up.
Mhm. And have you been like contacted by other star races, or is it pretty much always the same initial ones?
I mean, I have seen the Greys and the council members the most,
Mhm.
and so they're the ones I've seen the most. I'm not sure, but I think that they might be the Pleiadians.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's like
So
the Nordics too that are have like the white
yeah,
hair, so yeah.
and then I've also the other one that I see. I think I would probably say I see my guide the very most now.
Hmm.
Like since I started trying to really connect with the beings intentionally, like realizing what was happening in my life, what it all meant. When I started meditating, and I was like, I want to talk to you. I want to know what you guys want. Why do you keep coming to me in my life? Why have you saved me from dying so many times?
Hmm.
Why do you give me these visions? Like, what is it? And that was when Enoch showed up. So Enoch is an Arcturian being. He's
Hmm.
explained that he's Arcturian. He's a different type of gray. He does look like a little bit like a gray, but he's
Hmm.
got a very elongated jaw, and he has like a point of light between his eyes, like a sort of like a star shape. He's like an advanced being, and he's the one he's taught me like so much. I've written a book about all the things that he's taught me, and it's very multidimensional. He's taught me how to manifest, how to fly. He's taught me, how to transmute. He's explained so many things to me. Um, so yeah, I guess I've met a bunch of different beings, really. Sort of a team effort, it seems like, to help us.
Because I
So
think that they all have like their specialty or their unique. gifts and everything. So they all have things to teach us, but at the same time, like a lot of it is very similar too.
Hmm.
So it's interesting to see that. So would you say that Enoch is like part of your spirit guides?
Yeah, he is. I have like human s- sort of spirit protector, like guardian angel type of people.
Mhm.
But I also have a lot of extraterrestrial. Enoch would be the main one that I work with. And he used to show himself kind of as like a light being, a very short one with a robe, and I could never really tell what he was. Like I didn't know he was an alien. I did think though that my guardian angel was really short, and I wondered like, what? How come I can never see his face? And like, because I going back over my life, like I remember having experiences where he was definitely, it was him. He was definitely there, but he never let me see him. He was just kind of off to the side, or he was so bright that he just looked like an angel, and you couldn't make out really much of a form, except he definitely did look short to me.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so when you say that he teached you like so many different things, does that happen in your dream state?
Yeah, sometimes it'll be a waking message. So things like the re-anchoring of the divine feminine plays an important role in the transformation of society. That's a waking message, that's a teaching.
Hmm.
Or um, other times he'll be standing right in front of me and we'll be in that multidimensional space and he'll be like, like here's another one. Him and I are standing in what looks like a tunnel. We're at the entrance of it. And he says, this is your day. You see it? And I can see all the things that are going to happen in my day, images throughout the tunnel. And
Hmm.
he says, now think about what you want. And so I started to think about money. I want money.
Hmm.
And he's like, suddenly there's a pattern, there's a mandala in front of me, and he says, "Do you see what the frequency of money looks like?" And I
Hmm.
was like, "Oh." And then he's like, "Okay, now take that and like shoot it into your day." And I kind of pushed it into the tunnel, and and I could see it changing the day. Things were changing. And then he said, you can do that for your day and you can do that for your life. And you can do that with anything.
Wow.
So he taught me, like a multi-dimensional. This is just the kind of stuff, it doesn't happen every night, but it happens. Yeah, I have a lot of contact, I would say,
Hmm.
very regular. Yeah.
Did you like in the beginning, as you were like waking up, was it hard to like hold on to everything that you had learned? Because I remember in Jeff Mara, you showed like a big stack of like all your contact.
Yeah.
So
Um,
did you find that you needed to write down or less you would kind of like forget it? Because I feel like I forget a lot in the like even like within the first hour of my day, like it'll just whoop, it's gone. Yeah.
yeah, some things do. They just disappear.
Hmm.
But like those two things that I just told you about, those images I saw this week, those to me, they probably would have disappeared if I hadn't written them down. Because they were so fleeting and quick, and even though they meant something important, um, they wouldn't be something as big as like, where I'm in another realm, I'm being taught how to change reality with Enoch. That I wouldn't really forget. It's so powerful. But yeah, like little messages or the waking messages, I think, I just recommend people write it down as soon as they wake up, have a little journal beside your bed, write it down. Or even if you forget it and you remember it later in the day, put it in your phone notes and then write it in your journal later because
Hmm.
it'll start to paint a picture of, of part of your path and like everyone is
Hmm.
getting help. So yeah, just try to get it out somehow so you don't forget it.
Hmm. Yeah, I need to start doing that.
Yeah. I mean,
And
we all do, right? It's like life is busy but
mhm.
yeah, if you can. it really helps.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And when you meet new people, like, do you like, are you able to like sense if someone's a star seed, or do you believe that we're all star seeds? Like, what's your take on, yeah, if you're able to recognize star seeds even before they are aware that they're star seeds?
Yeah, now I can. I mean, I'm years and years into this, like
Mhm,
deep into it now. Um, yeah, I can. I always knew if somebody was psychic
mhm,
or if they had like something about, they just had something about them. They had something about them. Children love them. Animals love them. They
mhm,
have a magnetic draw. Some people are very mean to them for no reason.
mhm,
And there's just certain things that stand out. Usually they're neurodivergent in some form. Um, and like for me, I could feel it right away. But then they start telling me things, about experiences. I'm like, oh, are you a star seed? Or have you ever heard of a star seed? There's certain things, dream messages being one, or having a really traumatic childhood with a lot of difficulties is
mhm,
another, like feeling very attacked by forces.
mhm,
Um, there's a lot of markers, a history of abductions or alien contact,
mhm,
but starseeds have a special energy and we're drawn to each other.
mhm. Yes, because I feel like we're kind of like spread all over the place and we need to like find each other, but at the same time it's like we're all a bit like far, but I
Mhm.
know Starseed like in Montreal, but I mean there's still not like my neighbor, so I
Yeah.
think there's a reason for that. Weren't you talking about like we're like the like pillars with Jeff Mara?
The pillars, um, do you mean like the pillars in my room or do you mean like the earth grid?
Like us as being star seeds, we're like all like pillars of
Oh,
light.
like yeah, like anchors were all put across the grid of earth in different, yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So we're all supposed to be where we are or where we end up, and we're just holding a frequency for those
Hmm.
around us.
Are you called to travel to certain locations for like soul retrieval and stuff like that, or grid work?
Yeah, I do a lot of grid work. Yeah, I have in the past done a lot. I do it often. I get called to travel to places. Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
And is it like, do you feel like it's more like your own intuition, or it's like more them not telling you, but like suggesting that you should go to a certain place?
Yeah, it's very well, I had like two dreams last week about going to Thailand. So I had a couple of dreams the week before. It's like, okay. Well, I'm planning on going to like South America, Mexico first, but the new travel plan has already been told to me. I've had them, like I had a gray stand in front of me. When was this? Maybe last year or yeah, I'm not sure exactly. It wasn't terribly long ago, but they showed me a map and they were like, this is North America. You got to drive here, 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 and then literally we're like drawing with this finger like a red line, like you got to go here, 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 and then here, and then you end up here. And like he just listed every place I needed to go, and they were all vortexes and all portal places, like all of them. And they're just like, that's where you're gonna go. So that trip's coming up in May. I'm doing that one. Um, and then, yeah, I guess my next one will be probably Thailand.
Mhm.
It seems like the that's where I'm being told to go next. So, yeah.
So in May, like, are you leaving like for a month or something? Like, to have the time to kind of go to those places? Like, do you allow
Yeah.
yourself to leave for some time to be able to like not be too rushed in your trip. That can be exhausting, well, for me. Yeah.
Mm.
Mhm.
I don't have like I have kind of a limited time, so I'm gonna try to get it done, you know, a little bit rushed, but it's it's still gonna happen.
Mhm.
So I just can't be gone for too long. I have my dog and stuff, so and I'm not gonna bring him just because I don't really know what it's gonna be like for him. I don't really want to bring him unless I have an idea of what it's going to be like. Also planning on going down to Contact in the desert. So I think it's all lining up really well for timing, and I don't really want to leave him in a hotel while I'm
Mhm.
doing that. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Wow, that's exciting.
yeah, I'm excited. It's gonna be
May
fun.
is gonna come so fast.
I know. Well, right now it's very cold up here. I don't know about you're in Montreal, aren't you?
Yeah, it's cold.
Oh yeah, it's cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, I shouldn't complain then because you're probably way colder than we are here.
I mean, I don't know. Are you like a bit like higher in the mountains, or are you like I don't know what it's called, ground ocean level?
Oh yeah, we're pretty high up in the mountains. Like we're far from the ocean.
Hmm.
Yeah. But I mean it doesn't get as cold here as Montreal, I know that. Maybe -10 right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. I worked on a set last week or 2 weeks ago. It felt like -26. It was horrible.
Oh,
It was
that's
like,
cold.
and we were outside the whole day.
Oh no.
It was like
Oh
wet,
no.
the air. It was,
Yeah.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do you do it?
Well, it was like my first time doing like a full day outside. I was like, it won't be that bad, but at one point I couldn't feel my toes anymore. Like even if you have good clothing, like also it's
Yeah.
like we're not in the beginning, it's like we're setting up everything, so it's like you're moving, you're warm, but then the whole day is like they're just shooting like scenes, so it's like we're waiting outside, not really moving. So yeah, I'm like I'm gonna think about it before accepting like a out full day outside during the winter because yeah, it's not fun.
No, no, that sounds terrible, especially in Montreal.
Yeah.
I hope they pay you well.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I'm just gonna open my window really quick here. Just get some light in. There. There we go. Yeah, so do you have any more questions for me?
Well, right now you're working on your books. Do you want to
Yeah.
talk about your books a little more like are so they're all like on different like topics?
So my first book is a more of a memoir, and I explain my experiences. So just the things that have happened to me, and just kind of who I am and what I'm all about.
Mhm.
So people know my story. And then my second book is more of a spiritual kind of self-help book, really geared towards helping starseeds. I share the teachings that I've received from Enoch and from the ETs, and I try to break them down so that I can explain the teachings a little bit better. I was going to release that book first, but I just had this feeling, and my gut feeling was, no, you've got to release the first book. Um, and so I've been sitting with that, and it definitely makes sense. So um yeah, I'm just kind of working on, like, the second book is pretty well written.
Mhm.
It needs a little bit of a little bit of editing, but it's pretty much ready to go. And my first book, I am working very, very hard, like 10-hour days, at least, sometimes 13-hour days, to really get this book going because I wasn't anticipating releasing that book first, but I feel like I've been guided by the beings that I work with that I got to release that one first. So it's kind of slowed down the process, but I trust what they're saying, and I think it is the the right way. So
Wow, that's amazing. And so that would be like your uh, priority in the moment as far as like projects and stuff.
yeah, I've really kind of had to put everything else down. My blogs, my readings, everything. I've just really put that aside for now because these books need to be released, and there are people out there who it's really going to help.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just happy to be able to like, share my story, and if it resonates with people. Great.
Mm-hmm.
It'll explain some things. Yeah, just share the messages and.
Is it the first time you're writing like as much?
Like I've been working on the first book for about 5 years, and I couldn't stop writing it because the experiences kept happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I started it, and then everything just got so crazy. My contact and everything, just experience after experience after experience. Um, and I wrote it as it was happening. So I just had to go in, tidy everything up, and try to
Keep
make,
adding
stories.
chapters.
Yeah, yeah. It started off with um 50,000 words. Now we're up to 70,000 and it just keeps going. So yeah, it's going to be a decent book. And I'm leaving so much out because I just don't have the space for it. A lot of my shamanic experiences that are definitely linked to the ETs that just don't quite fit in the book. So I feel like I'm giving, a sliver of what's really happened, but I want to make it, readable and make sense. And there needs to be like that story,
Mm-hmm.
coherent. So it's, yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be fun to read. It's an interesting story. So.
Cool. That's amazing. Yeah, that's really cool. And for anyone watching, where can people find you as far as social media and everything?
Yeah, so I do have links to all my social media, my channels and whatnot on my website. My website is lightgridnetwork.com, lightgridnetwork.com. And yeah, so I have like my TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. I'm not on Facebook. Um, but those are my social medias. And then I will be posting the links to my books when they come out.
Mm-hmm.
I'll keep people. I have a sign up for a newsletter. I do blog posts, and then I also do a monthly newsletter as well. So people can check me out there.
Cool, cool. And do you have, because I might have to get going soon
Sure.
to go eat and everything because I have something later.
Okay.
Do you have anything else that you would like to share or that you feel called to share?
Um. Hmm. That's a good question. Well, I guess like what I've been seeing is that, there is going to be some challenges coming, and that people should just, like stay calm. We have intervention, we have help.
Mm-hmm.
If we go into the fear, if we react really badly to all those things, we just create more of it. We manifest it, anchor it, give it a foothold.
Mm-hmm.
So, I've just been seeing a lot of things like in these teachings and in my visions where the people who are living in the most deep and dark state of like fear, those people are suffering and they end up kind of going into like a bit of a darker timeline.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just hope that, people can try to just stay calm, and it's all going to work out.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's going to be okay. But we may have, we're going to have some big, big challenges ahead. And
Mm-hmm.
I hope that nobody ends up in that dark timeline. I
Mm-hmm.
really I really do. I hope everybody makes it through this and like you know just without suffering too much.
Mm-hmm. Do you think like us starseeds, like, we all have like our individual mission, and but at the same time it's all kind of like connected, like all our missions. But do you think like will that we are able to help people that are like kind of like struggling, or like do you believe that it really is like them individually that they need to figure it out?
Mm,
Because for
yeah.
me as the empath, it's like sometimes it's hard to see people, struggle, especially like
Hmm.
family and everything. But at the same time, it's like there's so much I can do, like from me.
Yeah.
And I believe that it's like an individual thing.
Yeah, and it is an individual thing. I think some of us starseeds can only say what makes sense and try to guide others.
Mhm.
But like even for me, when I first opened the door and I was having all these dark visions and we were having, major issues, like I was having men in black and I was having really real and scary real life experiences.
Mhm.
I mean, even I got to a point where I was just terrified. Like I was so scared. And the more scared I got, the more that, it seemed to attract more
Mhm.
darkness and negativity. And it was really under my skin. It was just, I couldn't, there were times where I'd be so scared that I could feel my throat tightening, and I was just like, I was in this bad state of fight or flight, and felt like no one understood, and like I realized that it is going to be what it is, no
Mhm.
matter what. I can't change all of the things on the outside.
Mhm.
The only thing that I can change, the only thing that I can manage is my reaction to it.
Mhm.
And it's not going to change the things happening,
Mhm.
but it's just so much easier to live that way, to just be able to you know do whatever it takes to try to stay calm in any situation, just and to understand that there is a bigger plan, that we are protected,
Mhm.
that even though it seems hopeless and whatever, there's always a glimmer, there's always
Mhm.
something that happens, that we're being helped, we are. So I just feel that reacting to it makes it worse,
Mhm.
and that in the end, we're not alone in this. We do
Mhm.
have, highly intelligent, highly advanced civilizations
Mhm.
contacting people on the planet, giving people like me messages,
Mhm.
and that's not a coincidence.
Mhm.
That's a calculated plan.
Mhm.
They know more than we know,
Mhm.
and it is going to be okay.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Wow, thank you for that positive message.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Mhm.
Okay, well, I will let you go and eat and get ready for your day. It was so nice chatting with you. So nice to meet you, Chloe.
Yes, and we can talk again anytime. I'm down to reconnect again. I feel like we connect very well.
Yeah, yeah, this has been really, I was looking forward to meeting you. So, yeah, it's
Me
been
too.
wonderful.
Well, take care and good luck with your book, and I wish you the best in all your adventures coming up.
Thank you. All right, well, all the best to you as well. Take
Thank
care.
you. Bye.
Okay, bye.